Hello everybody, welcome to or back to the channel. I'm Tobias. I hope you're doing very well today. If you are new here, I enjoy epic stories, unforgettable characters, and all the emotions that come with it. So I don't just review books, I like to live in them, pull apart all the plot threads, sit with the characters at their lowest and highest moments, and try to make sense of what it all means. Unfortunately, this video is coming out just a little bit later than I intended. I had the script written and ready, but when I went to record, technical issues arose. The receiver that I have connected into my phone for recording my audio just would not have it. I think that I bent it at some point, so I had to order a new piece, so apologies for that. Today, however, we will be jumping straight into Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. This is the second installment, or third if you want to count the prequel. A YA fantasy with a very sharp edge that cuts a lot deeper the more that you read. If you are unaware, Throne of Glass was first published in 2012, subsequently in 2013 for Crown of Midnight, and takes the characters from that first book and pushes them to much darker, more emotional places. Now, for the first couple minutes, I will keep things spoiler-free. So if you haven't read the book yet, or you just want to know what you're in for, you are safe for now. But after that, I will be going full spoilers. And as you can see the length of this video, you know that it isn't some quick breakdown. Basically, this video, like my other ones, is part review, part discussion, and part emotional unpacking. I'll be looking at everything from pace and structure, what shifts in tone from the previous book, and how characters evolve or unravel, and what new pieces are being laid out for the broader arc of the series. So again, if you are just here for a taste of Crown of Midnight and what it offers, let's start with a quick spoiler-free look at the tone, the themes, and what makes this book such a turning point in the series so far. Okay, for those that skipped ahead, or you're just checking out things before you dive into the book or series, no worries, this is the spoiler-free section. We're just talking general vibes, the themes, and whether you should continue forward with the Throne of Glass series into Crown of Midnight, or simply want a broader feel for the series before jumping straight in. So, Crown of Midnight, it picks up pretty much right after the events of Throne of Glass. It follows Celaena Sardothien, as always, as she fully steps into her new role at the Glass Castle in Rifthold. But what starts as a story about political intrigue, deadly assignments, quickly turns into something far darker, much more personal, and far more complex. The book balances the court politics with ancient mystery, romantic tension, and emotional fallout, and it leans very heavily into the cost of loyalty, the weight of grief, and the power of identity. Comparing it to Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight is much more intense, both emotionally and plot-wise. The pacing is far sharper. There are bursts of fast-paced action, but it also takes its time to build atmosphere and dread. For me, this book hooked me and kept me far faster than the previous book, and what honestly surprised me is how much darker it gets. There's this creeping tension underneath everything, and when things finally snap, it really hurts, but in the best way. It left me feeling unsettled and at times devastated, but also what really impressed me is just how much Sarah J. Maas evolves the story from the previous book. So if you liked the intrigue and character drama from Throne of Glass, but wanted more magic, more mystery, more emotional stakes, this book definitely delivers. It is perfect for readers who enjoy morally complex heroines, slow burn tension, both romantic and narratively, and a story where you don't know if everyone is going to make it out whole. I have been told that fans of Lee Bertigo, Holy Black, or Cassandra Clare's The Infernal Devices will feel very much at home here. Even though this is an earlier Maas work, you can definitely feel her sharpening that blend of epic stakes and raw character emotion. Tonally, there is this similar shift here, like from Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, where the world is really beginning to open up, the tone deepens, and nothing feels really safe anymore. So if you are still wondering whether or not to pick this one up, ultimately continuing with the Throne of Glass series, or even just to jump in at all, I think you know my advice. It is definitely a yes, but there are moments that really hurt, so brace yourselves for that. But if you are already a fan and you want to relive the chaos with me, buckle up, we're about to dive deep into the heart of Crown of Midnight, full spoilers ahead. So we begin with a lie. Crown of Midnight, opens by unraveling the illusion left at the end of Throne of Glass that Celaena is now the king's champion, killing on his behalf, loyal to the throne. But she's not. She's faking the kills, helping her targets escape, and I really love this reveal. It tracks with everything we know about her so far. It echoes her first mission in the Assassin's Blade with Pirates King. Her morals haven't changed or shifted, and she is not the king's loyal blade. She is something far more dangerous, someone pretending to be tame whilst planning her rebellion in silence. So the tension locks in almost immediately. Celaena is walking on a razor's edge. One wrong step and the king might kill her, or worse, Kael or Nehamia. But if she keeps defying orders, if she keeps protecting people, this could spark something even bigger than a rebellion. It could tear down and destroy everything that she has built up so far. And back at the castle, things are just as sharp emotionally. There is something tender and unspoken between her and Kael, a quiet waiting, like they're circling a line that they're both afraid to cross. And Dorian, my heart honestly does go out to him here. He is keeping his distance, but the ache is still there. You can feel in the way that he watches her, the longing is replaced with coldness, and it hurts for both of them. And the castle feels different too. There is less wonder, but more danger. Even walking the halls feels like a risk now, especially when Celaena is summoned by the king. And this man, he does not need to raise his voice or yell to be terrifying. He's mostly calm, but every word feels dangerous, like it's a trap. Like he already knows what everyone is doing, how the game is being played, and that he's 10 steps ahead. There's moments where I honestly feel like he can read Celaena's mind, and he knows that she's betraying him, and yet is just watching it all unfold. At this point, he gives Celaena her first target, Archer Finn, a courtesan tied to what he believes to be a rebel network. On paper, it is simple, but in Celaena's world, nothing is. And now we get to see Nehamia again, and immediately something has changed. She is still strong and passionate, but definitely more guarded. Celaena feels it too. There is tension where there used to be safety. The closeness is somehow walled off now. This is due to Celaena's secrets and silence though. She wants to be free so much, so she doesn't want to be pulled into any rebel plans or promises. So she doesn't want to be a symbol, and Nehamia is starting to see that. Underneath it all, there is still grief. No one is talking about Enderveer anymore, but it lingers in in glances, in silence, and in the scars that are still visible for Celaena, both physically and psychologically. Now, Crown of Midnight does quietly circle back to Assassin's Blade, and one of the most poignant moments or callbacks happens here when Celaena is walking the streets of Rifthold again for the first time in over a year. Every corner feels like a graveyard of memories, and in one quiet conversation with Chaol, those memories resurface. She asks about Rook Farron, so the man who tortured and killed Sam in the first book, or the prequel, and we as readers have been sort of holding on to that grief since then. Chaol tells her that Farron is in fact dead. He was killed by Wesley, Oberon's silent bodyguard, but unfortunately, not long after, Wesley was also found dead, impaled on Farron's property. It is grim and it is messy, but it definitely matters because someone did eventually avenge Sam. And Celaena is overwhelmed by that weight. She opens up, telling Chaol about Sam and what they meant to each other. And it's the first time she really lets him in. And in return, Chaol shares his own grief of someone that he loved and lost. It is small, but it is incredibly moving. Two people scared by love, sitting in quiet understanding. Enter Mort, the ancient enchanted bronze door knocker guarding Elena's tomb. Up until now, the tomb has been eerie and mysterious, but Mort changes its tone completely. He is alive, sort of, more like animated, and immediately one of the most memorable characters in the series. He's sarcastic and smug and absurdly nosy. Celaena is obviously stunned, and honestly, it's quite funny. The banter is sharp in a way, witty, and surprisingly warm. But Mort doesn't just bring humor, he brings warning. Elena has left Celaena a message. Something ancient and dark is rising in the castle, something we already know of, and of course Celaena has to stop it. The thread or threat isn't explained. It never is. There is no clear path forward. There never is. Just truth. She has a role to play, whether she wants to or wants it or not. To me, what makes Mort special is how he delivers all this with wit and disdain, like he is frustrated that Celaena hasn't figured it out already. But one thing is clear, this is definitely just the beginning. Now, at this point, she finally meets Archer. After days of surveillance, there is a familiarity between them. Having known each other since childhood makes the conversation a lot easier, but something definitely doesn't feel right. He feels off. He is far too casual, far too smooth, too careful even. It's like he knows how to play every angle, and Celaena doesn't trust that, and neither did I. And Chaol certainly doesn't either. His jealousy is also in full focus, is barely concealed, especially watching how flirtatious they are with each other. And honestly, who could blame him? But this essentially wraps up the book's opening section. It is a slow burn, but far more dynamic and dramatic than the start of Throne of Glass. There is tension crackling beneath the surface, emotionally, politically, magically, and Maas does an excellent job here at getting me hooked. Relationships are shifting. Celaena and Chaol are moving towards each other hesitantly but undeniably. Dorian still present, but seemingly fading into the background. And her bond with Nehamia is fraying, almost fracturing, but it's still intact at this point, strained by secrets and silence. It all feels very unstable, like one move could unravel everything for more than just Celaena, and that sense of danger, of fragile peace, had me completely locked in. It is a strong start and much more emotionally rich than in the previous books. Alrighty, so we've just come out of careful setup. Missions, flirtations, and warnings, and now the book really starts to tighten its grip. Everything becomes more fragile and more dangerous, and it all begins with someone easy to forget, Celaena. Celaena visits her in the dungeons, and what seems like a throwaway moment quickly turns into something more chilling. Celaena claims that she is being used, she's being visited by Parenton and waking up with no memories, her mind splintered and her dreams filled with winged creatures. And if we turn our mind back to the epilogue of Throne of Glass, Cain, the failed vessel, word marks, possession, then Celaena's madness makes more horrifying sense. She may be next in line for something unnatural. In short, but full of dread, this isn't just tyranny, it is dark magic, and Celaena knows now that whatever the king is involved in, it is bigger than politics. Archer comes back in focus here, and Celaena has dinner with him, and it's a flirtation masked as interrogation. His charm is disarming, but Celaena plays along, keeping her emotions locked away. She essentially lets him believe she's just curious until she drops the truth. She's the king's champion. She's actually been ordered to kill him, but Archer doesn't run. Instead, he drops a bombshell that there is a rebel faction that believes they have found the lost heir of Terrasen, Aileen Galathinius, alive, real, and they want to put her or restore her to the throne. Now, Celaena immediately dismisses this. Aileen is of course dead, has been for years. Whoever the rebels think that they have found must be lying, so she just brushes it off. But I didn't. So let's be honest here. Celaena is almost certainly Aileen. Her past is murky, her ties to Terrasen are deep. Alina, I should say, chose her for some ancient queenly task, and Nehamia treats her like a leader to be. So either this is the most elaborate red herring Maas has ever set up, or the heir is already in the room, denying her destiny, denying her existence. Either way, something huge is definitely coming. Sometime after this, Celaena infiltrates Davis's home. This is a named associate of Finn's under the guise of a hired escort. While searching his study, she finds a book of word marks. So a clear sign that forbidden magic is tied to the rebellion or some other nefarious means. But before she can leave, Davius appears and quickly attacks her. It's just a brief struggle, but he manages to cut her with a poisoned blade. Realizing she doesn't have much time, she quickly and expertly deals with Davis with that blade. She flees, barely making it back to the castle before the poison overtakes her. At this point, a new emotion creeps into the story: fear, like something out of a gothic thriller, and I really enjoyed this section. It's late at night, Celaena is still recovering from the poison and rattled by everything that she has seen. She returns to the castle library, not to read, but to hunt. She's looking for answers for the dark figure that she actually saw lurking the halls probably weeks prior, and the atmosphere here is perfection. The halls are too quiet, the lamps too dim, the library stretches like a maze, and Maas leans all the way into this tension. Every shadow feels like it's watching, every creak and whisper could be something else. And Celaena searches for hours, pushing deeper into the oldest, most forgotten corners of the King's Library. And the fear here isn't explosive, it is suffocating. Maas lets you sit in it, breathe in the dust, hear the silence pressing in as Celaena follows instinct into something darker than she expected, and then she finds it. A tapestry unlike the one hiding the passage in her room, and behind it yet another hidden entrance. The stairwell below is steep, narrow, and ancient. She descends alone deeper into the earth, into a place where even sound seems afraid to follow. The air grows colder, symbols appear on the walls, and at the very bottom she finds it, an iron door, sealed, silent, and waiting. Now, of course, it doesn't open, at least not yet, but it doesn't need to. The implication here is terrifying. What could the king be hiding down here? What kind of power demands to be locked away beneath iron and stone? Maas gives us no answers, but the dread lingers. It gets under your skin. This isn't just another mystery. It is ancient, it is dangerous, and Celaena is walking straight towards it. Now we come back to Dorian for a moment. He has carried this yearning for Celaena, and in this moment of quiet, it comes to a somber end. He sees it now, sees her and Cal growing closer, the unspoken intimacy building between them, and makes a choice that feels both right and a little heartbreaking. He lets her go. There's no bitterness, there's no anger, just quiet acceptance. He understands that Celaena needs someone who won't flinch at her power, someone who can meet her where she is, and maybe that someone is Chaol. It does sting though, for sure. The moments they had together in Throne of Glass can't be forgotten, but Dorian realizes that loving someone sometimes means stepping back, giving them space to find their own happiness, even if it is not with you. It's small, deeply human moment, or one without fanfare, but it definitely carries weight. This isn't about rivalry or pining anymore. It's about growth, about letting go. And I was honestly very relieved to see this. The time for dragging out this love triangle is over. Maas lets the feelings linger just long enough for it to feel real and meaningful, but not so long that it becomes frustrating or overplayed. This moment gave Dorian a path forward, and for that I was definitely grateful. Now, after so much secrecy, Celaena finally decides to tell the truth. She brings Nehamia into her world fully and deliberately. She reveals what no one else knows, that she hasn't in fact been killing in the king's name. Every death was faked, every target smuggled out of Rifthold. For the first time, mirroring the end of Throne of Glass, Celaena chooses transparency, and for a character who's played every side alone, letting someone in lifts a weight that she's been carrying for too long. But she doesn't stop there. She leads Nehamia down into the tomb beneath her room, a place of prophecy, mystery, and bloodlines, and introduces herself to Mort. Again, the ancient talking door knocker, his personality still remaining a highlight, snarky and smug, and of course Nehamia is very much startled, but more surprisingly is what she doesn't know. And that's not much at all. Celaena had hoped, like myself, that she would have answers about the tomb, about Elena, about all the word marks on the walls and the floors, but she offers none. And this silence, again, it's really unexpected, even frustrating, because if Nehamia doesn't know, where is Celaena supposed to turn for answers? A few days pass and Celaena is once again assigned to guard some formal event. She's bored and restless and slips away, but Chaol finds her. He doesn't bow, he doesn't try to impress, he simply asks for a dance. And in that moment, the noises fade, it's soft, it's quiet, it's intimate, and it's just them. But whilst they're wrapped up in something gentle, Nehamia is slicing through Dorian's comfort with brutal honesty. Their conversation starts simple, but she quickly pushes him, demands to know what he stands for and whether he will speak up when injustice stares him in the face. Then she shifts the ground entirely. She taps on his chest, his heart, and says, "It sleeps in here," then calmly adds that when the power awakens, I will help you. This is not encouragement, it is a fact. Nehamia knows something no one else does. Dorian isn't just a prince, there is something inside him, something ancient and dormant. And suddenly, he's no longer fading into the background, he's become something else. The question now is, what? And Nehemia's words don't just linger, they ignite something in Dorian. The very next moment, during a council meeting about some slaves at Calicula, he finally pushes back. The discussion is cold and clinical, just numbers to everyone else, but Dorian speaks out. Unfortunately, the king shuts him down immediately. Nothing changes politically, but something shifts in Dorian. For the first time, he chooses to act, not just because it is safe, because it is right, and I was glad to see it. Dorian has spent too long watching from behind glass, but now you can feel the edge forming. And that spark becomes fire. Moments later, when his fury boils over, literally stone shatters from beneath his fist, magic, his magic, raw and volatile and undeniable. Everything Nehamia said echoes back, that it sleeps in here and now it is awake. Dorian Havillard, the heir to the empire that destroyed magic, is magic. He's no longer just the prince in the background, he's become something else, but again, what? Now, the whole stretch of the book up until this point has been building step by step to a moment both Celaena and Chaol can't walk away from, and it starts with something really simple, a dinner. No grand gestures, just a private meal between her and Chaol for his birthday. She picks his favorite food. It is a gorgeous setting. There is wine, no servants, just them together. And for Celaena, this is really, really huge. Someone who has built their life on control around keeping people out is now choosing softness, choosing him. And as the night unfolds, something shifts. She opens up, not just emotionally, but truthfully, echoing the same moment between her and Nehamia. She tells him that she hasn't been killing the king's targets. And of course, this is a really risky move considering Chaol's position within the castle, but she tells him that she has been sparing them, smuggling them all to safety. Now, this is no plea for approval. This is a reveal, a moral line that she will not cross. She is trusting Chaol to see her clearly, maybe even for the first time, and he really does. He leans in and says that he would be a fool to let her go. And in that quiet moment, vulnerable moment, they finally kiss. Of course, what follows is just as intimate, and it's the most meaningful night Celaena will ever share with somebody, for both of them actually, because it's their first time. And honestly, I think that it was the right moment and the right person. After what happened with Sam, I really wasn't sure if Celaena would ever let somebody back into her world, allow someone to become that close again, but she does, and for a brief moment they get to choose joy, and I was rooting for them. Now, the next few chapters lean heavily into intimacy, not in a raunchy or overdone way, but with warmth and playfulness. The series doesn't shift into romantic or romance territory, but it flirts with the edge, and honestly, it's fine. I'm a guy, and it didn't find it forced or excessive. It didn't hijack the story. Instead, it adds a softer layer to Celaena and Cale, of course, as well, where they're not just emotionally vulnerable, but physically learning each other too. And after so much blood and grief and secrecy, I think that matters. This isn't fan service, it is a moment of peace, of joy, of quiet in amongst everything going on. A reminder that Celaena can still feel desire and be desired without guilt. It's not some big dramatic shift, it's just a breath of fresh air, and it works. As everything else begins to crack or shift or fracture, Cale, Arch the King, the rebellion, there's still one person Celaena hasn't truly faced, Nehamia. Despite their bond, a wedge has grown between them, one forged by silence and avoidance. Nehamia has never just wanted friendship, she has wanted purpose. And she begs Celaena to fight for more than her own survival, to care about something beyond herself, but Celaena just can't or won't. And Nehemia's frustrated and hurting, delivers a quiet gut punch. "You could be so much more," she says. And unfortunately, that is the last real moment they have together. It ends not with peace, but with parting, and what follows is one of the book's quietest and most haunting scenes. Nehamia descending alone into the tomb beneath the castle, into the dark to meet Eleanor, the dead queen who once chose Celaena for a destiny she still refuses to claim. "One of them has to break," the queen said to the princess. "Only then can it begin." "I know," the princess said softly, "but the prince isn't ready yet. It has to be her." "Then do you understand what I'm asking of you?" The princess looked up towards the shaft of moonlight spilling into the tomb. When she looked back at the ancient queen, her eyes were bright. "Yes." "Then do what needs to be done." The princess nodded and walked out the tomb. She passed the threshold, the darkness beyond beckoning to her, and turned back to the queen. She won't understand. And when she goes over the edge, there will be nothing to pull her back. She will find her way back. She always does. Tears formed, but the princess blinked them away. "For all our sakes, I hope you're right." This stretch of the book was a little quieter, but definitely essential. It is where trust begins to take root, where Celaena starts letting people in, not just out of survival, but softness. With Cale, it's gentle, birthday dinners, dances, and a small moment that pierces years of armor. But while love starts to bloom, pressure builds elsewhere. Nehamia urges her to see the war beyond the walls. Celaena resists, not out of empathy, but sheer exhaustion. And Dorian begins to fracture under something ancient awakening within him. Archer spins half-truths, Elena grows more cryptic, and Nehamia, she is already making impossible choices Celaena doesn't yet see. These chapters lull us into craving peace for Celaena, a taste of joy, but Nehemia's secret descent into the tomb is a warning. Peace was never the point. Everything is about to change. Now, the tone and the pace of the book is about to shift fast and hard. Emotionally charged moments begin to pile onto itself, one after the other, with little room to breathe. So brace yourselves. Celaena hasn't seen Chaol all day, and a very cold, familiar feeling creeps in. The same fear that she had felt with Sam. When she finds the note in his room, that fear hardens into rage, but this time it will not be like the last. This time, no one will stop her. And there is no hesitation. The moment Celaena learns that Chaol has been taken, something cold and ancient locks into place. There's no questions, no panic, just stillness before the storm, because no one takes what's hers. And Chaol may not be hers in name, but he's hers all the same. And those responsible don't even have time to react. They scream, they bleed, they fall. She is a blade without a sheath, and when she finds him chained, bloodied, something inside her breaks. The thought of losing him is enough to burn the world down. And there's Archer Finn waiting calmly, like this was strategy or politics, but Celaena gives him none of the rage he wants, only cold ice. Unchain him now, she says, and that line was very chilling, because I don't think anything could have stopped her in this moment. This isn't Celaena the assassin, this is Celaena Unchained, and although Sarah J. Maas doesn't write like Sanderson would, it is not tactical, it is emotional. She fights like a force of nature. Her grief, her fury, her love, every swing of her blade is catharsis. Watching her unleash, you don't stop it, you get out of the way. Chaol's capture cracked the emotional dam, but what broke it is what comes after. Learning that Nehamia and Archer had been working together, that they acted out of fear for Nehemia's safety, was definitely something that I could understand. The kidnapping wasn't political, it was desperation, a plea for her to wake up. But it wasn't Chaol they should have feared. As Celaena runs back to the castle, each breath tight, every heartbeat screaming, I was right there with her. Her pleading, her silent begging not to lose what she already knew was gone, and it was devastating. Now, I loved Nehamia from the moment we meet her, not because she is perfect, but because she believes in something greater. She stands up for her people, she pushes Dorian to speak out, she challenges Celaena and tells her that she could be more. She was a warrior in every sense, and for Celaena, she was a soulmate, someone who saw her and now she's gone. A light snuffed out, a piece of Celaena ripped away, but this heartbreak, it's not the end, it's just the beginning. The moment Celaena finds Nehemia's body, you can tell that something inside her dies. The silence is in that room, it wraps around you like a noose, and all that's left is raw fire sharpened into a blade. And when Chaol arrives trying to explain, she doesn't see the man that she loved moments ago. She sees betrayal, sees the man who knew and said nothing, and she attacks. No hesitation, no mercy. She would have killed him, dagger aimed straight for his heart. But then Dorian, his magic erupts, coming forth wild and instinctual, stopping her in time with some invisible hand. It is not a decision, it is a reaction, and it does save Chaol's life. She looks at Dorian, realizing what she almost did and what she just saw, and then everything goes black. And as you can expect, the aftermath here is drenched in sorrow. Celaena is locked in a cell, barely eats or speaks. She is haunted by the final moments, the final words that Nehamia spoke to her, that she could be more, or even that she was nothing more than a coward, replaying them again and again. All of this makes her feel like she's right there, back in Enderveer, surviving but not living. Meanwhile, Kale tells Dorian what happened. The kidnapping, the warnings Nehamia gave, the secrets kept, and the guilt now drowning him. But it is very clear, whatever forgiveness he hopes for may never come, especially not from Celaena. Everyone is lost in uncertainty. The fragile connections once holding them together now feel broken, beyond repair, and Celaena more than ever drifts into grief with no path forward. Now, from the outside, Celaena looks broken, and of course in many ways she is, but beneath the grief, beneath the surface, she is calculating. Nehemia's death will not go unanswered. This will not be the same as Sam, and she has a name, Grave. One of the King's champions, the same one that she faced before Cain at the end of Throne of Glass, because the brutal way Nehamia was killed fits his signature too well. And that's all she needs. The shift is immediate. This isn't an assignment, it's retribution, and it echoes what happened with Sam. But this time, there will be no mistakes, no mercy. Her grief is now a blade, and Grave's fate is sealed. The only question is when. The fight, torture, and eventual killing of Grave is very much cut short, and honestly, I'm not sure why. After all the grief and rage, we are pulled away just as she's beginning to unleash it, and on one of the men who absolutely deserves it. It feels like we are being denied her catharsis, and the choice here for Maas is one of confusion, to say the least. But what we do get is a changed Celaena. Whether it's another mask or something darker awakening, she moves differently now. Now colder, more dangerous, which is very hard to think about, but when she enters the council chambers, dragging Grave's severed head behind her, it's with a fury that silences the room. She throws it in front of the king's feet without flinching. Then calmly but lethally, she names Minister Mulson as the man behind the threat against Nehamia, and then frames her actions as loyalty, claiming that she killed the rebels on her list. But though there's venom in those words, it's hard to tell what's truth and what is performance. But then the king smiles and Celaena smiles back, and not out of joy though, but with something sharp and unknowing. It is cruel and vindictive, but in that moment, something between them shifts. A new, quieter war begins, and no one in the room really knows how far it will all go. Before moving forward, we do get a brief but telling moment with Archer, proof that Celaena hasn't been entirely consumed by the grief and the pain and the rage, even if it did seem that way in the council chambers. Beneath that fury, she still feels, and she definitely regrets. She admits quietly that she regrets killing the men in the warehouse. Her conscience hasn't disappeared, and it just has fewer places to live now. The grief is definitely still there, but the mask she wears is cracked instead of completely gone. But make no mistake, she is not softening. Her threat to Archer is cold and clear. The restraint she once had is frayed, hanging on by a thread. Her control only held together by threats, and Archer senses it. He leaves without pushing any further because I think he knows that one wrong word, one misstep, and even he knows he will not walk away. It kind of echoes the same feeling that I have with the king, that there is no balance. He, or this case, she, is entirely in control. What she says goes, and you don't argue. We finally find our way back to Helena's tomb, chasing another mystery. She eventually solves one of the riddles, that it's only with one eye that one can see rightly, a riddle that has been plaguing her mind for the entirety of the book, but realizes that it refers to the pommel on the ancient sword she once used to kill the Ridderak. So she uses it, fits it into the wall, and it unlocks or shows another mystery, a hidden poem, another cryptic riddle with no clear answers. And honestly, it is so frustrating that every discovery just leads to more fog. And Celaena feels this to the exhaustion of constantly digging, chasing meaning, only to come up empty. And in that moment, Helena finally appears. After so much silence, the dead queen returns, shows herself to Celaena, and Celaena breaks. Not with rage, but with grief. With the weight of the pain, she weeps for Nehamia, for the loss, and from one place of ghosts, she moves to another. Nehemia's grave, but there is no fury now, only mourning. And in that quiet moment of mourning, Celaena sings an old ancient song in a language that not even Kale, who was currently listening in, can understand. And because of that, he can't let it go. There is something there, something unknown, and a level of understanding that he needs to get. So he seeks out the king's librarian, and through that, he is told that this song, this language, is only known to those with royal blood connected to the Terrasen. And just like that, in that quiet moment, it becomes certainty. Celaena Sardothien is not just some assassin. She is absolutely the heir of Terrasen. And whilst Kale does not immediately register it as fact, it is there now, it is in the open for him, and time will only harden that truth. Some time has passed and Celaena and Dorian have dinner. This is purely for connection. Two people who once meant something to each other, just sitting across a table, quietly trying to remember what normality feels like. But there is distance. She is quieter, she's more guarded, and when he gently asks why she even agreed to come and have dinner with him, her answer is simple: I had nowhere else to go. Because right now she really doesn't. Sam is long gone, Nehamia is recently passed, her relationship with Kale is fractured, but the darkness that she's chasing is only growing heavier. Dorian might be her past, but tonight he's her only safe space. This scene underscores just how adrift Celaena is, how isolated she's become, and how hard she's working to keep from crumbling. And then something else, a passing comment from Dorian. Holland, his younger cousin, has been suffering from awful headaches recently. It sounds relatively minor, but it definitely is not. It mirrors Kaltain's symptoms, both victims of magical manipulation, unknowingly altered by Parrington perhaps, and it is a quiet thread but a chilling reminder that the dark forces are still at play and are still working, quietly infecting the world around. But what comes next is one of the most significant lore drops in the entire book. So deep within Elena's tomb, again, Celaena is trying to wrap her head around the most recent mystery, the riddle or poem that was unlocked through the ancient sword, Damaris. So it speaks of 3 hidden, powerful, magical objects, one buried in a crown beloved by a queen, one sealed in a mountain of fire, and a third lost to time, unknowable by voice, tongue, or gold. At first, to Celaena, this all sounds like myth, but then she remembers Baba Yellowlegs. She is an ancient Iron Teeth witch masquerading as a carnival act. She's old enough to know true magic, real history, and when Celaena visits and then recites the poem aloud to her, Baba's reaction says everything. This is no legend, it is fact. And the riddle, it describes the word keys, 3 fragments of a supposed master key forged from the word itself, each one powerful in its own right, potentially capable of opening up portals between worlds, terrifying and having enough power to suppress magic entirely. So now it all clicks. The King of Adarlan must already possess at least one. Although there is definitely no proof at this point, no confirmation in her bones, she knows the truth. If the king has one key and is in search of the others, which he most certainly is, then the magic silencing tyranny over Aurelia is definitely just the beginning. Now, shaken by what she has just uncovered and still reeling from apparently whatever Dorian had also come to Baba Yellowlegs to ask her, Celaena knows one thing. One chilling reality: this secret can't be allowed to live. Not with the implications of the word keys, not with the king's power growing, not with Yellowlegs old enough to remember truth, and the world that has long been forgotten. So Baba Legs is too dangerous to be left alive. The fight, sudden, brutal, and vicious. Baba is fast unnaturally so, coupled with her magic, makes the fight or her opponent a nightmare to face. But Celaena is faster, she is sharper and more desperate. She uses the iron chains in the carnival tent to her advantage in snaring Baba just long enough to strike. And in that final savage blow, Celaena beheads her. No ceremony and no mercy here. She walks away breathless, blood-soaked, and knowing that this is one more horror silenced, one more secret buried for now. Returning to the tomb, Elena's tomb, shortly after, her body soaked in the witch's blood still, and the air around her quiet and heavy. Mort, the ever perceptive bronze door knocker, instantly senses what has occurred, calling her a witch slayer, and delivers a chilling warning that apparently Baba was no mere carnival act, that she does belong to a powerful Iron Teeth clan or alliance, and her death may not go unanswered. Mort, believing that it could absolutely provoke some sort of gathering or even possibly a war, but Celaena brushes this off. There are certainly more pressing matters. Lingering in the tomb still, she's studying the ancient poem again, retracing Baba's cryptic words, word keys and word gates, the Varg, and contemplating the fact that if the king truly has at least one of these keys, then it is most certainly how he was capable of suppressing the magic across Aurelia. For Celaena, there just doesn't seem to be a clear next step, but a direction does at least begin to form. The catacombs beneath the library, through the iron door she found only nights prior, that is where she will begin to look. But before she can act, we get one more, or at least we get a gun punching scene from Kale. He is alone in Celaena's room and finds her will. Left or written 2 days prior to Nehemia's death, everything that she owns was to be left to him. Unfortunately, Celaena catches him in this moment, and without hesitation, without explanation, she just casts him out. She has no intention of having this conversation now, or maybe even ever. But after casting him out, once he is alone, he breaks. He can't hold himself together any longer, and he weeps. Celaena now stands before the ancient iron door beneath the library. This time she is ready. For the first time, she deliberately uses magic, tracing word marks from the Book of the Dead onto the door. The symbols glow and the door groans open. Inside we go. What follows is a descent into something far darker than forgotten stone. The tunnels twist and fork, lined with secret or sealed chambers and decayed cells, scratched with claw marks. The air is suffocating. It echoes her first time in the catacombs, but this goes deeper. It is older, hungrier, and as she pushes forward, the silence presses tighter, climbing through the narrow corridors until she reaches a chamber. Its walls black obsidian and veined with eerie green light. She knows this stone, it matches the collar worn by Cain and the rings that Holland, Parrington, and the king wear. And the eye of Elena pulses once at her neck, then dims. The darkness in this room is not natural, it feels somehow sentient. Then from the far distance, a large bang. A deep shuddering sound vibrates through the room, through the corridors, and Celaena looks up and realizes where she is. The clock tower, the black heart of the castle, the center of the king's domain, and whatever power lives here, she has only brushed its edge, and something tells her it is watching. Dorian, his concerns built faster when he spotted Celaena entering the library, sword strapped to her back, her hair braided like she's preparing for war. He doesn't hesitate and he follows, not out of love or jealousy, but genuine fear. By the time he reaches the below levels, there is no sign of her, just dust and old tomes and a rising sense of dread. His magic pulses in warning. He calls out, descending deeper, finding the corridors lined with rusted streaks of prison cells. Every instinct tells him to turn back, but he can't. And what emerges next is Nightmare Reborn. Half human, half wolf, its body decaying, limbs ending in twisted claws. It reeks of obsidian magic, the same dark power tied to Cain, to Parrington, and the king. Celaena turns and bolts back through the tunnels, bleeding and winded, the beast slashing and snatching at her heels, and Dorian finally catches up in time to see her faltering, and together they race back towards the exit, the creature crashing after them. However, they are cornered at the final door. Dorian trying to hold it off with his raw magic, Celaena desperate, trying to carve word marks into the stone, this time for sealing instead of opening, and speaks the words. Magic flowing through her, Scorching her hands, the door slams shut. This creature is trapped for the time being. They collapse in Dorian's room, battered, bleeding, and breathless, and now there is no more secrets. He has magic, she has some ancient power, neither can pretend anymore. This chapter isn't just about a moment of terrifying horror, it is a turning point. The masks for both of them are off and everything changes from here. After that nightmare, Celaena just can't rest. She charges straight to the dungeons, Kaltain's eerie warnings still echoing in her mind, how she apparently wasn't brought to Rifthold to marry Parrington, but for something else, something darker. But when she gets there, Kaltain is gone. Her cell is empty, her cloak is discarded, signs of her struggle are on the floor, and the guards say that the Duke has taken her to Morath to be his wife. But Celaena knows it can't just be for that. Kaltain spoke of wings in her dreams, of pain, and of something coming. And now Celaena finally remembers what Dorian had said nights prior at their dinner, that Roland himself also had headaches, the same ones that Kaltain said she had. And Roland too has also been sent to Morath. So people are being taken or sent away, changed, but for what? Back into Celaena's chambers, Celaena touches the claw marks on her shoulders and remembers the creature's eyes, somehow relieved when she sealed it away, like it hadn't really wanted to exist like that, almost human but ruined, and it somehow clicks for her. Word keys don't just open gates or suppress magic, they can corrupt, they can animate or reanimate, they can turn people into monsters. The disappearances, the experiments, the twisted things lurking beneath the castle, this is not just about power alone. The king is building something and Celaena is running out of time to stop him. Pressing forward, Celaena races back to the tomb, apparently puzzle pieces clicking into place. She turns to Mort and confirms her fear and recites part of the poem referring to word keys and the I am the first part of the riddle. And Celaena realizes the first key had once been hidden inside Queen Elena's jeweled crown, entombed right beneath the castle, hidden in plain sight. With trembling hands, she finds the crown and attempts to crack it open. But what she finds is nothing, just an empty space where the key probably resided. This confirms that the king holds at least one of the word keys, and everything makes sickening sense. Desperate for more, for answers, Celaena prepares to do the unthinkable. She will use the word keys to open up a word gate in hopes of seeing Nehamia to get answers no matter the cost. But far away, Dorian dreams a prophetic vision of a tall, crowned figure in a stone chamber, eerily resembling him. This is King Gavin. The vision is urgent. The crowned warrior warns there is a line that's about to be crossed, that Celaena's life is in danger. So go to her room, take the third passage from the right, go now, Prince, or you will lose her forever. Dorian jolts awake and does not hesitate. He runs. And Celaena, she has created the gate. Stepping back from the portal, stunned, but the archway stays silent. She calls for Nehamia once, twice, but nothing answers, just endless dark. Please, she whispers into the void, and then she appears. But she isn't warm, she isn't whole, there's no smile, no comfort, only urgency, warning her to never do this again, and vanishes just as quickly as she appears, offering no answers, just silence and sorrow. And the portal, it remains open, hungry, and unanswered, and that's when Archer steps out from the shadows. Archer's sudden appearance here sets alarm bells off, not just for Elena but myself. He claims that Nehamia showed him the tunnels, but when he steps between her and the book that can close the portal, then sees the tattoo, a symbol that he or she saw from Nehamia's drawings, everything seemingly clicks into place, and then Archer confesses all. He was the one that planted the initial riddle, the book found in Davis's office, that he earned her trust with lies, orchestrated Chael's kidnapping, and worst of all, he was the one that hired Grave. He was the threat that Nehamia feared, and he admits he knew who Celaena was all along, that Oberon told him after Endervere. So she strikes. Archer is faster than she anticipates, the blade missing his heart and lands in his shoulder. Their fight turns savage, vicious in their chaos. Her blood splashes across the stones, activating a hidden wordmark that glows beneath her hand. And then the portal shifts and something answers. Something monstrous steps through. The real enemy has arrived. The monster is quick and fast, and Celaena has no time to react. It's only moments later when she wakes to chaos. Cole is locked in a brutal fight with the creature, Dorian kneeling beside her, and Fleetfoot is injured nearby. Dorian is unleashing his raw magic to try and save Chael, confirming just how powerful and dangerous he truly is. But when Archer flees, he grabs the book needed to close the portal, and the demon seizes Fleetbook, dragging him through, and Cole doesn't hesitate. He charges after them, and Celaena knocks Dorian unconscious to protect him and sprints through the portal in chase of the monster, of Chael, of Fleetfoot. But when she steps through, what she finds on the other side is harrowing. Chael is shielding Fleetfoot with nothing left to give, and then something inside her implodes. Blue fire exploding from her, her form shifts, Fey ears, elongated canines, and an otherworldly grace takes over. Celaena Sardothien is not human, she is Fey, and for the first time Chael sees the truth just as the battle truly begins. With magic burning, senses sharpened, pain ripping through her, the demon lunges, but she meets it with steel and wildfire, holding the line while Chael and Fleetfoot escape. Her magic is wild, volatile, and when she channels it through Damaris, the sword becomes a conduit of pure flame and lightning. She drives it into the earth, splitting the ground wide and forcing the creature back. But the cost is immense. Her power flickers, her body shifts back, and just as she collapses, Cole, he pulls her back through the portal back to Aurelia. The gate remains open though, roaring with oncoming horrors. Celaena can't close it, but with Dorian's help, they can. They use his blood and her spell work and seal it together in a final desperate act, and quiet finally washes over them. But Celaena's focus shifts immediately. Archer has run, but after Nehamia, after everything, she will not let him escape. But when Chael tries to stop her, she doesn't hesitate. He's mine, she says, and she's off. And she tracks Archer through the castle like a wild predator. She's wounded and furious, but unstoppable. She corners him, and when he pleads, talking about rebellion, about freedom, about shared causes, it is hollow. It is self-serving, and she knows it. Archer even tries using Nehamia as a shield, and for a heartbeat, she does stop to listen. That small flickering ember in her soul, the one that saw and believed in her, it flares, and she does loosen her grip and decides to spare him, telling him to leave Rifthold before dawn or she will do what she started. But then he thanks her, smiles, calls her a good woman, and Celaena sees it. The arrogance, the belief that he's manipulated her once again, that he's won, and Just like that, Mercy dies. She walks back to him slowly, calmly, stops inches away, looks him in the eye and says the truth. No, I'm not. And she stabs him. Fast, final, and silent, up straight into his heart, holds him close and whispers the only words that matter. But Nehamia was, and she let him fall. But Chaol arrives a moment too late, witnessing Celaena kill Archer. Bloodied and hollow, she turns to him with deadened eyes, vengeance fulfilled, but at a steep cost. The girl that he loved is barely there. Back in her rooms, healing Fleetfoot becomes her only tenderness. The rest, Dorian, Chaol, the healer, move like ghosts around her. When Chaol finally confronts her, Celaena tells the truth, her Fae heritage, her ability to shift, how she opened the portal to try and see Nehamia and unleashed the monster instead. She continues by informing him that it was in fact Archer who orchestrated Nehemia's death and tried to manipulate them both, and that it did work. She may no longer completely blame Chaol, but she can't forget the connection is fractured, and when he tries to reach out, she pulls away. She just won't let him comfort her, not anymore, but he still tries to protect her anyways. Knowing that she is not safe in Rifthold, Chaol proposes sending her on a mission to Wendlyn, the last Fae stronghold. It is framed as an assassination task, but it is attempted rescue on Celaena's behalf, a way out, and in return he offers everything, his title, his command, his future. He would give it all up just to keep her alive. And this is where the story loses me just a little bit. It seems just a touch contrived to push the plot and story along in this fashion. You are essentially forcing Chaol into a situation where he's treating Celaena like a child, like she can't protect herself or she can't make her own choices. And from my point of view, I think this is the wrong way to go about it. But alternatively, there could have been a number of ways that we could have pushed the story ahead, pushed her towards Wendlyn, if that is where Sarah J. Maas wanted to place her. But for now, it adds a layer of contentment towards Chaol from my point of view, and potentially from Celaena's as well. But we will see how this all plays out eventually. Celaena eventually gives Dorian a carefully edited version of the truth. Her portal, the creature, the magic, it's enough to open a bond between them, a quiet understanding forged in the fire and fear of it all. Dorian does thank her, not just for saving him, but for entering his life at all. And for a fleeting moment, Celaena dares to hope. Maybe Nehemia's dream of a better court, one grounded in royalty and light, isn't dead after all. But across the castle, darker wheels are turning. The king is pleased with Chaol's ruthless proposal, accepting the plan to send his champion to send Celaena to Wendlyn to assassinate the royal family. Dorian is stunned at this. Celaena is summoned. The act is done before anyone can protest. And she does play along, cold and poised, a wicked smile masking the betrayal she feels. Later on, Celaena goes down to the tomb and Elena reappears. Celaena is, of course, furious. Chaol knows what she's doing for Elena, so why would he send her away now? But Elena insists Wendlyn is a good next step. It is near someone called Doranella, the Fae homeland. So she might find what she truly needs or seeks there. A little bitter and cornered, Celaena just makes peace with the command and cannot refuse. When the queen presses her hand into Celaena's and names her path, Celaena does not flinch. She watches the narrow shaft of sunlight in the tomb and accepts it. Wendlyn then. Dorian confronts Chaol after that council meeting. He's just as betrayed as well. He accuses Chaol of sending Celaena to Wendlyn in a calculated public spectacle, but Chaol clings to the lie, and this is for everyone's safety. He lets Dorian believe the worst, knowing the truth would only unravel the fragile web of protection he's trying to spin around her, and Dorian's parting threat that he will regret this if anything happens to her cuts deep, but Chaol walks away alone. Celaena heads to Nehemia's grave one last time before leaving on the ship. The snow has melted and the world waits for spring. Soon she will sail away, but first she lays down the truth she couldn't face before, that Nehemia had always been right, that she had run from who she was, from her power, her destiny, and that ends today. It ends now with a blood and a vow. She swears to free Elwë, to see Nehemia's father crown restored, and to stop the king. She offers her oath to the earth itself. No more bargains, no more obedience, no more forgetting, only this promise forever. Before leaving, Dorian finds Celaena. The parting is heavy between them. He begs her not to go, warns her that of the danger, but she brushes it off as always with practiced calm. When she asks him to take care of Fleetfoot, he of course promises, then gives her a gift in return, a safe place to store the books he's secretly gathering about his magic. Before leaving, Dorian then thanks her tenderly for being the kind of person who changed his life. She promises that she will return, and somehow he believes her. At the docks now, the sky is blue, the wind is brisk, a perfect day to leave a city that no longer feels like hers, no longer feels like home. She tries to avoid Chaol, avoids what can't be undone, but he comes anyways, stepping from the shadows just before she boards. Chaol begs her to understand. She just doesn't explain everything, but she gives him enough. She tells him about the word keys, the word gates, Baba Yellowlegs, the sealed creature beneath the library. She warns him about Roland, about Kaltain, and entrusts with him the Eye of Elena. She tells him to never take it off, that it will protect you. And in one final whisper, she tells him something cryptic, and he replies saying that he loves her, and she says, "I'm sorry." And so she boards the ship, but never breaking her gaze from Chaol, even as the dock disappears, even as the sun dips below the horizon. And when she finally turns away from the glass castle, from Rifthold, she does so not as Adelan's assassin, but as something else entirely. And with the ocean wind on her back, Celaena Sardothien sails towards Wendlyn to reclaim the truth of who she is. And as we turn the final pages, Chaol is left standing alone at the docks after Celaena's ship vanishes into the horizon, clinging to the whispered date she left with him. Just a month and a day, seemingly insignificant, but when he returns to the castle and searches her desk, he finds a stack of hidden books, royal chronicles, genealogies, records of Terrasen and Wendlyn, and there, buried in the entries from 10 years ago, he finally understands. The date itself marks the night King Orlin of Terrasen and his heirs were assassinated, the night Aileen Galathinius, the lost princess, vanished. As Chaol pieces together their lineages, the clues finally fall into place. Avalyn Ashravir was Celaena's mother. Avalyn was Wendlyn's royal blood, descended from Mabe, the Fae Queen, now revered as a goddess. And Celaena had once told him her grandmother was Fae. So she had recoiled at the golden arrow of Dana on Yulmus morning, and it was all there. Celaena Sardothien is Aileen Galathinius, Terrasen's heir, Terrasen's queen. And the truth, the understanding that has been creeping closer and closer to Chaol finally crashes over him in a tidal wave. Chaol realizes the depth of what he's done, not just sending a woman he loved away, but sending the rightful queen of Terrasen across the sea. A girl he thought he knew, a woman who might one day rise or raise kingdoms or burn them to the ground. Now, of course, most of us already knew this, or at least strongly suspected this truth for some time, but having Chaol finally uncover it, finally him connect the pieces and feel the full gravity of who Celaena truly is, makes the weight of it all hit that much harder. It is no longer just our secret as readers. Now the revelation lies within the story itself and its implications for the world, the war, and the relationships just feel heavier, more inevitable, and more alive than ever before. So there you go. After all that, Crown of Midnight, my rating is a tentative 4 stars. It is probably more, closer to 4.5, but I feel like I need to leave a little room for the rest of the series, and giving it a higher rating for now, 4.5 or even 5, feels a little premature. I will definitely revisit all the ratings at the very end of the whole series, of the end of the story, and adjust everything as necessary. But altogether, this book truly and honestly surprised me. And while it is not flawless, what it does well, it does exceptionally well. Emotionally, structurally, thematically, it is clear that Crown of Midnight is Sarah J. Maas taking her first real steps towards the series she wants to write, not just the one that she had to get published. The YA shell still lingers, but the heart beneath it is burning much hotter and sharper. And the final stretch of the book, like chapters 50 to 56, is where the book sheds its skin completely. These chapters are bloody and bold and brutally paced, and emotionally they hit with devastating precision. I did not put the book down after Nehamia was killed. I read it all the way until the very end, all the way past midnight, because it just felt like it was just such a joy to read. And Nehemia's death wasn't just a plot point, it was the catalyst. It blew the doors wide open. Suddenly everything is bigger, the world, the law, the stakes. Celaena is no longer the girl with secrets. She is a key to the future for this entire continent, a seemingly living myth, a burning question mark, and the transformation is what this final act delivers so well. And of course, the true and complete reveal of her heritage, her being Aileen Galathinius, heir of Terrasen, doesn't just reframe the story, it reframes every relationship she has ever had. Dorian, Chaol, Nehamia, Sam, even Oberon in Assassin's Blade, the tragedy lands much heavier. Love feels more fragile, and choices so much more loaded. And let's talk about tone, because the tone in this final stretch, well, throughout the whole book, but specifically the final stretch, is unrelenting. The moment Celaena opens the portal, it's as if the book itself starts bleeding. There is no going back. The horror escalates with the creature's arrival, the heartbreak explodes as Archer's betrayal is laid bare, and when Celaena shifts, when Chaol truly sees her form, it's a moment of both awe and fear and fate colliding all at once. But it is also the moment when everything starts unraveling. The magic Dorian can no longer deny, the truth Chaol can no longer outrun, the war that's been quietly simmering since page 1. It's not just coming, it's at the doorstep of everything. Or if I had to describe this ending in one phrase, it would be the breaking point. Every lie breaks, and every secret fractures, and what's left are the sort of sharp, beautiful runes of what the world used to be, and a promise that the next book won't hold anything back. And yet, as much as I loved these final chapters, there were parts of the book, particularly in the middle, that slowed down for me. Moments where the tone didn't match the urgency, where Celaena's grief felt like it stalled the story, even though it might have been necessary. And although I did appreciate the quiet, the growth, the love, they do come at the cost of momentum, and that's the one thing holding this back from me specifically giving it a higher rating. Crown of Midnight isn't just a bridge between Throne of Glass, and what is to come. It is definitely the beginning of a war for Aurelia's soul. Well, that is it, guys. And I know this was a long one. My God, I tried desperately to make this thing under an hour, but it was just so hard. Every thought felt necessary to express, every moment worth talking about. But if you did make it this far, thank you so very much for watching, and I do hope you stick around. Whether this book broke you, healed you, or just left you staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., I am really glad that you were here to unpack everything with me. But what did all of you think of the video and of Crown of Midnight? I'd love to hear your thoughts. What moments shattered you? What theories do you have now that the story is shifting gears? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. I want to hear everything. But also, if you want to hear my thoughts on the next book, Heir of Fire, or any other books at all, please let me know. I know Heir of Fire is a much thicker book as well, so it might have to be in 2 parts, split into 2 videos, if things unfold the same way they did with this one. Hopefully that is not a problem, or perhaps you don't really care and you are happy to hear me go on for 2 hours straight. Let me know in the comments. But if you enjoyed this breakdown or the way that I do videos, please don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel if you want, and hit that, that bell down there that notifies you for any upcoming videos. But until next time, happy reading.